in the African American community, mental health is something that's just starting to be discussed, just starting to be talked about.
I think the stigma about mental health in communities of color come from the fact that there is a distrust between the community and doctors.
Over time, it's been really hard for me to come to terms with my issues with mental health. I've been scared to talk about it, scared to reach out for help, but also just as a man, it's really difficult, I think, for men to always come to terms with how they're feeling.
I think that when it comes to suicide prevention and mental health in communities of color, people are not doing enough.
I think living as an Asian American woman, it's been a journey where I've had to navigate my culture in addition to the mental health system itself. I feel like that Asian cultures tend to be rather quiet about these issues, and that is actually a problem for people who are suffering.
Shaming and blaming has a big part to do with why people in the Korean communities do not share. Feeling like you have to hide how, if you have suicidal ideation, that you can't share with any of the adults, that you have to just kind of tough it out and figure out your own problems. I think that as a child, I struggled to have those resources for myself.
No hablamos de salud mental, pero sí hablamos de los montón de locos que tenemos en las familias, eso sí. Y cuando se muere uno por suicidio o están pasando por depresiones, no hacemos nada al respecto. Y una de las cosas que se dice mucho es que están buscando atención. Están buscando atención. Esa persona está buscando atención. Sí, dele atención. Tienes toda la verdad y no es nada negativo.
It's more about understanding what mental health really is, what self-care really is, what those symptoms and feelings and emotions look like. In a lot of ways, the resources that are allocated are always going to be allocated to the communities that are more affluent. And I think that the more the stigma is removed, the easier it'll be to start to implement those resources in different communities.
To reach communities of color and to reach everybody, we need to have an equitable perspective towards suicide prevention.
In order to truly address social justice in our communities, in our schools, you have to be willing to consider that for some people, it's not about how hard they work, it's not about how good a person they are, that the system itself makes life a lot easier for certain groups of people than for others.
I believe that social justice work is suicide prevention. We have a role to play. We have a responsibility as white allies to work to undo the structural racism and the damage that's been caused.
Entender lo que el inmigrante o el latino aprecia de su cultura y usar eso como apoyo, verlo como algo que da fuerza, verlo como algo positivo.
Hay que estar ahí para darles apoyo, para sacarlos a ver cosas si están aislados, para sugerir, no quieres hablar con alguien más si no me quieres hablar a mí, pero de no dejarlos solos. El apoyo puede salvar la vida.
When someone really understands that they are of worth, they find ways to have something beautiful to live for. I truly believe that if we all could reach out to someone who is struggling, it would really make a difference.
Suicide doesn't discriminate, and our approaches to suicide prevention shouldn't discriminate either.
Break the silence around suicide.
Everyone is impacted.
Let's break the silence.
Have the conversation.
Rompamos el silencio acerca del suicidio.